Hey guys, this is Kyle here, and we have a new video. It's going to be a short one, just talking about a quick rundown of what vibe coding is, especially for the enterprise, some key terms that you need to know, what's been throwing around, and hoping to clarify some things. A lot of people have been asking as we introduce how AI and vibe coding can really make a big difference for software engineers. So let's jump right into it. What is vibe coding? Vibe coding is a term coined by Andrej Karpathy from OpenAI, and he basically described a way to use English as a natural coding language, which is crazy sounding because you think coding, you imagine Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, all these crazy languages that you need to study and learn. This new wave of vibe coding allows software engineers to forget that code exists, which is a crazy concept. You now think about the English, the concept or goal that you want to accomplish, you let someone else or another software do the entire coding for you, which is now making a big difference on the barrier of entry, as well as how people are seeing code. Vibe coding is a way to relax, feel out the vibe rather than focusing on the nuances, the syntax, but rather the end goal of the products by using English and explaining the problems and the concepts or goals that you want to accomplish. But now you're thinking, how would I use English to even talk to my code? Code is so many lines, there's so many different things going on. How would a machine, laptop, etc. understand what I'm saying to convert that into code? This is where you need to understand what an LLM is, or a large language model. A large language model is an artificial intelligence or AI model that can understand or generate human language. It translates your English into commands that people, robots, machines, etc. can understand. A great example is ChatGPT or DeepSeek, where simply you have a text prompt or terminal or an input box where you enter like a chat field, and now you're able to get some sort of response back, either using search, generating scripts, content, documents. It's now a way for humans now to talk to it in a natural setting, rather than typing code and using very direct logic. So now that we have covered how an LLM plugs into vibe coding and how using our language, English, to feed into a machine, we're able to get some sort of output. How is this all being done? How can we achieve the state of vibe coding when all we're doing is converting language from an LLM? This is where AI agents or an agentic process comes into play. An AI agent is basically a flow or software program that can autonomously call tools, data, or any other things to perform a goal or task that you want to do. This really fueled the vibe coding movement. Autonomous calls, there's no way for vibe coding to exist. Vibe coding stands on the premise that there needs to be a problem that's being solved, and how an LLM is able to take that issue and convert that into the code or software program that you want to build out. Now with AI agents, you're able to just focus on the problem or goal. LLM is able to call different tools, gather different data to build out that code that you really need. To build out the code that you really need at that time. You now may be asking yourself, how does an LLM talk to all these different tools? I thought an LLM just basically generated and understood human language. So Anthropic came into the picture to release MCP, which is a model context protocol, which allows LLMs now to gather data or call tools, which we mentioned in AI agents, and now leverage that to a different level. So by having LLMs interact with your data, your tools, and your code base, you're able to now allow it to build the code that you need, debug, or even take it to the next level by deploying it. This now fuels AI agents using MCP to now execute tasks on your behalf. So now you're freaking out. You're saying, oh shoot, LLMs can now gather our data at an enterprise. That's a big deal. This is where MCP has to be very critical. So now you're thinking enterprise, allowing someone else to see all your data, that's a no-no. That's where the big push or vibe coding enterprise kind of comes to a halt and slows down. You now need to understand that where the data is slowing is now a really big deal. So a lot of companies are claiming to have 30%, 40% of their code generated by using AI. They're using different protocols like on-premise models or LLMs that are run within their own servers to make sure that their data is not leaking out to someone else. For example, when you make a call to ChatGPT, where do you think that data is stored? Your prompt, the response, the data that you're inputting into it. There's still a lot of concerns when that data leaves your systems going into someone else's system. That's the big issue with vibe coding and enterprise. All these tools being built today have to rely on some sort of system running it, calculating it, using the LLMs, that it can somehow leak your proprietary data. So with vibe coding enterprise, now there's a big push to keep everything within your own servers. How can one vibe code but stay security compliant? By keeping these LLMs on premise or loading it up on your own servers. By loading these LLMs on your own servers, you're now able to make calls to the LLM, generate that code, have it returned back to you, all computed on your own systems. This way, any code that is being read, indexed, or learned from is not being used by someone else's system. So how does this all connect back to vibe coding? How does this all relate together? You may have heard of tools called Cursor AI, Blind, and Windsor. These are all agentic coding IDEs. These are simply an environment for coders, developers to have a whole suite of tools built into their software environments. All these tools incorporate LLMs into some version of an IDE like a VS Code. And by utilizing MCP tools, they're able to make a lot of different calls by reading your systems, create indexes, embeddings to understand how your code base works, what code does it need to generate based on the problem that you're giving it. By having natural language being processed as well as tools that it can call, for example, to other systems, you can check out my other video on Jira and Confluence, where it connects tools from external systems and brings it back into our LLM. By having these many tools call each other, you can now have a more cohesive and deliberate coding experiences. You can have more cohesive coding experiences that can build products from end to end, focusing on code generation all the way up to deployment. The future is now leveraging the software engineers to how to deploy, build, and learn, develop quicker than ever before. Code generation is not going to entirely replace software engineers, but now we have to keep up with the times. Entry-level software engineers are being jeopardized because syntax and basic software skills. Entry-level software engineers are being jeopardized because low-level skills and syntax are now being deprioritized and focused now on product shipping and product development. So by staying ahead of the curve and learning vibe coding and how it can be applied to industries and enterprise, you're able to take a step ahead of the curve as vibe coding and code generation is now going to be a part of your workflow. A lot of companies are moving towards it. It's only a matter of time when you could possibly be left behind. I encourage every software engineer to learn vibe coding, to learn code generation, to leverage that into your workflow. Understand what MCP is, understand what agents are, and what an LLM is at its core. This video is hopefully allow you to engage in conversation by knowing all these different terms that people are throwing around and open discussions about how this can apply for your company and what you can do about it to stay ahead of the curve. AI is going to be around. It's going to be a basic tool that we all need. And code is just another avenue that everyone needs to jump onto the bandwagon. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like to learn more on how this is all being shown and demonstrated, please subscribe. We're going to be showing you how someone can build games cursor tools just by using cursor itself and using agentic IDEs. So this is going to be a fun series. We're going to focus more on enterprise and how we can build all of our training and take it to the next level where large companies are using it. Thank you, and see you in the next video.